So, a fresh new week has arrived, and here on this channel, that means one thing and one thing only. Every weekend, I post an episode of this series we do called Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you, the viewers, to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week, there's been more drama, and the international teams have also ramped up their preparation for the FIBA World Cup, where the best players in the world are getting ready to represent their countries, so we still have plenty to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now, so if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but also very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Francis, and he says that Giannis's championship window with the Milwaukee Bucks is closed, and he won't win another one unless he leaves the team. Before we get into anything, we have to start by saying that Giannis's career in Milwaukee has already been a resounding success, and based on what he has already accomplished, he's cemented himself as one of the greatest players to ever play the power forward position. He's won a championship, he's been named the Finals MVP, he's won the MVP award twice, and he's even added a Defensive Player of the Year award to his resume, so there's no doubt he is a future Hall of Famer. When you're on this kind of trajectory though, the expectation is for you to lead your team into contention year in and year out, and the all-time greats are the ones who can climb to the top of the mountain more than once, and right now, Giannis and the Bucks have a bit of an uphill battle. Of course, they are still one of the favorites in the Eastern Conference, and did just finish as the one seed in the East last season, so it's not like they're falling by the wayside here, but after a really disappointing first round exit in the playoffs, they had their eyes opened to the fact that there are plenty of teams around them on their level. Throw in the fact that this offseason they really didn't change a whole lot besides replacing Joe Ingles with Malik Beasley, and you realize that they're banking on their core being good enough to still go all the way, which by no means is a guarantee. With Chris Middleton now being in his 30s and post-injury, his days as a legit all-star may be done. Drew Holiday is still of course very good on both ends of the floor, and Brook Lopez was also brought back to anchor their defense again, but it wasn't enough last year, and it's hard to expect much different results when they're running it back. The core of the Bucks are still under contract through 2025, and I have no doubts about the fact that they'll be firmly in contention in each of the next two seasons, but whether they actually come out on top again is something I'd be a bit skeptical about. Going back to the original take, I obviously don't see any world where Giannis gets traded, but when his current contract expires, I don't think it's crazy at all to think that he'll reevaluate things and explore other options on the open market if they show that they can no longer win a championship with what they have. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from JM, and he says that the 76ers will regret not trading James Harden this offseason. The James Harden saga is starting to get to a point where it's equally as annoying as the Damian Lillard saga was, where Harden is approaching downright delusional levels. Everything about it stems from things that were never realistically going to even happen. So, in case you're out of the loop, yesterday it got reported that trade talks between the 76ers and the Clippers have pretty much come to an end, with a trade no longer seeming likely to come. The Clippers were really the only team that was expressing any level of interest in trading for Harden, but they weren't offering anything of value in their offers, so the Sixers have decided that they will not be trading him and plan to have him report to training camp and play out the final year of his contract with the Sixers, which, by the way, Harden himself opted into. This summer, Harden could have hit free agency, but he was hit with the hard-to-swallow truth bomb this summer, where there was little to no interest in him on the open market, and 0 teams came forward offering him a max contract. So, with no big money offers elsewhere, Harden opted into the final year of his contract with Philadelphia, and followed it up with a trade request, thinking that he could strong-arm the team into trading him where he wanted to go for peanuts in return. The Sixers have emphasized throughout the summer that they are focusing on next offseason, where they will be free of Tobias Harris's contract and have maximum money to spend, so they did not want to offer Harden a max contract, especially when Harden is obviously declining on the court. This is what has caused Harden's temper tantrum. He's now threatening to not show up to training camp at all. However, Harden can thank Ben Simmons for the fact that there are now new rules in place that state that if a player refused to perform to his current team for up to 30 days, then the team may block that player from signing with any other professional basketball team moving forward, which essentially means that if Harden holds out, then the Sixers could virtually end his career. Going back to the original take, I don't think the Sixers will regret not trading Harden because the team is obviously better with Harden on it than they are with whatever mediocre role players the Clippers were offering, and if Harden holds out, then he's only shooting himself in the foot, while the Sixers free up a ton of cash for next offseason. So at this point, it's in Harden's best interest to just suck it up, play to the best of his abilities, and prove he is still worth a big contract, so next summer he might potentially get one. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Jay-Soo, and he says that Chet Holmgren should be the one favored to win the Rookie of the Year award this season. This is a hot take because obviously we just watched a draft go down headlined by a prospect in Victor Wembanyama who has received more hype and praise than we've seen in quite a while. All eyes will be on Wembanyama this season for good reason, but honestly, I do see the logic behind this Holmgren take. Holmgren is actually comparable to Wembanyama in a few key ways, with them both being very tall and skillful players who both also probably need to bulk up a bit to withstand the physicality of NBA basketball. Where Holmgren has the edge, though, is that despite being injured over the last year and not being able to actually play any real NBA games, he has at least been in an NBA system for a year now, allowing him to settle in, compete against his teammates on a regular basis, and spend a year adding more muscle. And now that he's back healthy, he actually does look like he's beefed up a little bit. But then when you consider what typically contributes to a leading Rookie of the Year candidate, it's always the first-year guy who produces the most on the court. And while I do anticipate Holmgren to contribute in a big way to the breakout season that I think the Thunder will have, I'm not quite sure he's going to be the most heavily featured player in the offense, whereas other rookies will probably be more central figures in their rebuilding teams, thus allowing them to put up better per-game numbers. Victor Wembanyama will probably have a green light in San Antonio with a lot of things working through him, and the same could even be said about Scoot Henderson in Portland, assuming that Damian Lillard does end up getting traded. Chet is probably a lock to be named first-team All-Rookie as long as he continues to progress on track, but I think I still lean more towards Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson to win the Rookie of the Year award. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes we discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.